about this crowd for Wolves football here, huh? Yeah. We're excited about that. It's awesome. First off, I want to welcome everybody and recognize a few people that you see these black jerseys we have here. You guys like these jerseys? Yeah. Awesome. Mr. Derek Dinger, thank you for your support with these jerseys. Big thing. I know these guys appreciate them. Logan Dosch, Greg Weaker help with these jerseys and pants as well. It's going to be very big, important factor for these guys when they talk about NSU, and we know that the term is swag, right? We got to have that part of the elements of making a championship program. So thank you guys for your support. We'll see these on October 22nd for our Blackout Cancer Night. Really excited about that. We're going to go all black for the first time, I think, in our history to raise cancer awareness and really support a good cause. So we're excited about that. A few things before we talk about football. You know, you can see here there's a lot of momentum in this department right now. A few highlights from last year before we get into football. We had 10 All-Americans last year, highest number of All-Americans we've had in our department since 1995. We're really excited about that. That says a lot about what we're doing here. 3.4 student-athlete GPA, that's also the highest in our history. So we have almost 400 student-athletes here. And for those student-athletes to average a 3.4 GPA, again, that probably deserves a round of applause more than anything. That's awesome. And, of course, we led the nation in attendance in basketball once again for the 9th straight year, higher than any Division I school in North and South Dakota for the 3rd straight year. So for us, thank you to the community and the loyal supporters of Wolves Nation here. We're excited about that and what we're going on with our winter sports when we get there. Women's basketball, 3rd straight NCAA appearance, 3 straight NSIC North Division championships. Coach Fred is on the door of 800 wins. That's a historic mark. We're excited for where basketball is heading. Men's basketball is in Costa Rica right now, finishing up their foreign tour. Very excited about where that program is heading. Volleyball is going to be starting here on Monday. They are just off of a school record historic year, 25-win season. And we're still trying to figure out how we didn't get in the NCAA tournament, Coach. I'm not sure what the scoop is. Anybody knows that, please tell me. 25-4, finished the year number 14 in the country, and we're ranked as high as number 2 in the country. So excited with all of our sport programs here at NSU. Let's talk football specifically. I think the neat thing about this, what you see here, we have 24 seniors here. I think it's the most ever in NSU's history, at least the most on record here that we know of. And it really starts with Coach Dosch and the job that he's done building this program. And then for these seniors to take a chance on Northern 4 or 5 years ago, in some cases 6 years ago. I think Brendan Henland, maybe it was 8 years ago. I think you were still playing when I was in college. But taking a chance on NSU when it wasn't the most attractive place to be, and it wasn't a lot of excitement going on at the time. And I think the great thing is you guys believe in the process. You put a lot of hard work in. And these seniors here, I think most of them you're going to find above a 3.5 GPA. A couple of the seniors that are speak today, I think both have above a 3.8, 3.9 GPA. So they're great students. They're great in the community. They believe in what we're doing here with Northern State University. So let's give a round of applause to the 24 seniors here first. So it's time to cash in, guys, right? Time to cash in and have a great year. Again, awesome schedule. We'll talk about a few things. Coach Dosch will get into a few things. September 10th is our home opener. It's going to be on ESPN3. We're very excited about that. That's the first time we've ever had that happen for football. So that is a big thing for our university to be on a nationally televised network, bring in Southwest State for our 3rd annual Ensure Crop Egg Bowl. And we're going to give away 5,000 T-shirts. It's going to be a whiteout for that night. So we'll have some flyers out there. Please pass the word. We want to set the all-time attendance record at Swisher Field for that first game. We're hoping to bring 8,000, 9,000 fans out there and make it an electric event for our home opener. So every home event this year, a home game, we're going to have something going on. So the first game is Egg Bowl. The second game is going to be a Fall Classic. Some neat things going on for that. Then we get into Gypsy Days. Of course, that's a big event. And then Blackout Cancer. And then, of course, our last game will be Senior Day and Shrine Game, which for another fun fact, we've got the 2nd longest running Shrine Game in the country. So another thing that we value, giving back to the community, and that's another important thing that we focus on here at NSU. So let's talk a little bit more about football. Football program, when Coach Dosch got here, we were about a 2.3, 2.4 GPA. I think it was 7, 8 years ago when Coach started. And they just finished their 6th straight semester above a 3.0 GPA. So, again, the culture has changed academically. Obviously, athletically, you can see what they've done the last 2 years, 14-8, coming off of our first ever division championship from the North Division. So we expect big things this year. We're excited about it. And again, Coach Dosch, a lot of it goes back to his and his staff, recruiting the right kind of student athletes, people that are serious about getting their degrees and winning championships. That's what we're about here. So let's bring up Coach Dosch. He's in his, what year are you in here? 8? Not 7? 7. 7th year at NSU. He brings a record of 56 wins in 14-8 the last 2 years. He's a 2014 NSIC Coach of the Year. Tom Dosch.
Thank you, Josh. 7 years, and actually 7 straight semesters over 3.0, but who's counting? Anyway, I'm counting. It's something we're proud of. So I'm going to, first off, before I introduce our staff, I want to say we've got, I've been doing this a long time. We've got 2 of the best in the business that work here at Northern that I get to work with on a pretty regular basis. Our sports information director, Ashley Gabler, or Ashley Gower, right, Ashley? Sorry, okay. But Ashley's just been tremendous. Been here 1.5 years full time. Is that right, Ashley? And then our director of strength and conditioning, Dylan Fritz, where you had Coach Fritz. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with a lot of people in those areas, and I've been lucky to work with a lot of great people in those areas. But those 2 are 2 of the best. And a lot of times what they do is behind the scenes. You don't see them up here talking very often. I guess Ashley does a little bit, but all their work that they do is really behind the scenes, getting our team ready, in Dylan's case, and just putting the best foot forward we can in our athletic department. And Ashley and her staff does a great job, and Coach Fritz and his staff. So I wanted to make sure I recognize those 2 individuals amongst everybody else in our athletic administration, but they're really phenomenal. I'm going to, as Josh said, we got a lot of seniors here. I'm going to introduce our guys. Hold your applause, guys. You can just wave. I guess you don't have to stand up, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody. I'm just going to start right there. Murphy, you're always in the same spot, just like you were for the team meeting yesterday. Good work. Offensive lineman Nick Murphy from Elk Point, South Dakota. Outside linebacker Tanner Fetro, Rapid City, South Dakota. Good thing you got your jerseys on. So outside linebacker Taylor Zemlicka from Waverly South Shore. Offensive lineman Tyler Roble from Watertown. Kicker Nathan Shaw from Ackworth, Georgia. Super senior, Brendan Hayline from Aberdeen Roncalli. Only guy I've played against and coached in my career, so it's been kind of fun. I mean, Josh just lobs them in there for me. Joe Parsley, free safety from Flandreau, South Dakota. Running back Stephen Erlinson, Breckenridge, Minnesota. Wide receiver Raekwon Robinson from Mesa, Arizona. Outside linebacker Tyson Zemlicka. Again, he's got his number on, so I know him. Waverly South Shore. Jacob Adam, wide receiver from Thompson, North Dakota. No, Jake's an offensive tackle. Connor Doherty, 3-time first team all-conference tight end from Brookings, South Dakota. Zachary Barber, with a cool-looking mustache, wide receiver, kick returner from Del Rapids. Matt Thorson, safety from Groton, South Dakota. Blake Lord, nose guard from Watertown, South Dakota. Austin Schmidt, St. Thomas More High School, Rapid City, South Dakota, offensive lineman. Marcus Marcellus, Atkinson, Nebraska, defensive lineman. Austin Nath from Marshall, Minnesota, offensive lineman. Tanner Lopez, Chandler High School, Chandler, Arizona, D-end. Trevor Heining from Atwater, Minnesota, linebacker. Tyler Oftedahl with a sweet-looking mustache, tight end from Eagle Bend. No, Eagle Bend, all right. Brian Sumption from Frederick, South Dakota, free safety. Channing Barber led the country in pass breakups last year, defensive back from Del Rapids, South Dakota. Taylor Houchin, wide receiver from Rapid City, South Dakota. Chad Stottero, preseason defensive player of the year in the Northern Sun North from Garrettson, South Dakota. Evan Aaron, the 4th. Minneapolis, Minnesota, offensive lineman. Cody Kraft, Timberlake, South Dakota, tight end. Christian McIlvain from Santa Rosa, California, quarterback. Eric Peterson, tight end from Fargo Davies High School. Mitch Brockhouse from West Central High School in South Dakota. Logan Shockman from Lemoore High School, North Dakota. Dalton Wangren from Mitchell. Defensive end, long snapper Nick Truen from White Bear Lake. Go Bears. That's really funny. Nick's running back for us. Josh Hilgeman from Aberdeen Central, Kyle Levan, quarterback from Crystal Lake, Illinois, and let's see who I'm missing, Quest Parham. Morin, San Marin? Okay, sorry, I got one wrong out of 30 there. So anyway, that's our juniors and seniors. A couple of them are going to come up here and talk later. Let's give it up for those guys. I guess the thing that and all those guys are either in their 4th or 5th year in our program, and so that tells you a couple things. We've really built our program that way. We want to get guys who are going to be in this thing for the long haul, and we're going through the early stages. Today was our first practice of the year, and you see the same look on freshmen faces that I saw on these guys' faces in 2012 and 13 is, what am I doing out here, man? There's just people flying around everywhere, and you try and tell them, hey, man, all the guys who are out there who have played and are running with our ones, they were all in the exact same boat that you've been in. And so you got to hang in there and have some patience, and more importantly, really persistence is probably the key word I like to use. The two things that really jump out at me about these guys are work ethic and how it translates to performance. And I think that those two things really are the things that jump out at me. And again, I'm going to give a ton of credit to Dylan Fritz, who's been phenomenal. And per NCAA rules, we really can't spend any time with our guys in the summer except for an occasional cookout and beanbag tournament. But as far as actual football stuff, we really can't. But Dylan can, and Dylan and his staff have really been phenomenal, and getting guys to buy in to go every morning at 5:30 for 9 weeks in the summer. That's not easy, and Dylan's done a great job with that. But ultimately, the guys got to show up and do it too, and these guys were really phenomenal with that. And you hope that carries over to playing better, and that's really, I'll talk about that later. That's the two things we look for is consistency and competition in our team. So. I've got a couple staff members that I'm going to come up and speak. As Josh mentioned, we do have our new black jerseys we're going to wear for our blackout game, which will be a cancer game. It'll be our black and pink game on October 22nd. Josh mentioned Derek Dinger, Logan Dosch, and then also Greg Weaker. Greg, you walked in after Josh gave you some recognition from InsureCorp, and he's also doing the sponsoring the Egg Bowl on September 10th. So thanks, Greg. And Dylan and Logan, so I appreciate that, and Lucas too. Thank you, Lucas. You didn't do anything with it? Okay, sorry. But they're nice. They're nice jerseys. They're cool. They're kind of retro. I tell the guys, retro is something that's old and cool. Not like me. I'm old and I'm cool, I like to think. So that's how these jerseys are. They got a little retro look to them, but I think again, it's something new. And going back to what Josh said earlier, really the overall performance, when you look, we had 10 All-Americans in our athletic department last year, and our league has never been better in football, volleyball, wrestling, men and women's basketball, track and field. You see all the All-Americans across the board, national champions, and that's really what you want as a coach and as a competitor is you want to go against the best. And so to have 10 All-Americans going against the best competition in the country is really phenomenal, and great job being done with Josh and the rest of our athletic staff. So just to change it up, so I'm not just going to sit here and go through the whole team again. I know that gets tiresome. I'm going to have our two coordinators. Mark Martin is with me for the 11th year. He and I were together at Jamestown when I was the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator, and his 7th year here at Northern as our offensive coordinator. So I'm going to bring Coach Martin up here. He's going to talk a little bit about our offense and follow it up with Matt MacLagan. So Coach Martin, if you want to come up and say a few words. Mark Martin.
Thanks, Coach. Before I talk about the offense, I'd like to talk about my assistant coach, actually probably my head coach right there, and my wife. Will you stand up, please? This is my wife, Tricia. This is how we do introductions around here, hon. So that's the only reason she came today, is just to see if I screwed it up. But to talk about offense, the biggest thing that I want to see and that we're looking for is, one, we got to be better on third down. You know, we talked about that. I thought we were better in the spring. I thought we've worked really hard over the last 8 months to do that. Third down is how you keep your guys on the field. And the more opportunities you have on the field, the more opportunities you have to score. So we're looking to improve that. We were okay, but we've got to be able to get the ball to the right guys and be able not only to throw the football, but be able to run it. Offensively, we always talk about being smart, fast, and physical. that's kind of our mantra, and we want to be smart with it. We were okay today. We had a few mental errors, but again, not beating ourselves will be big, particularly on third down. And then, we talk about playing fast. We are going to change up the tempo. That's no big secret. We love to press the tempo, and Coach Fritz has done a great job all last 8 months of getting our guys ready to go. And we're 23 days away, I think it is, from kickoff for those guys down south. So we're ready to go. Physically, we just got to get some things going. So I guess the biggest thing we're looking for is the third down, keep our guys in the field. Also, first down. You don't hear a lot about that. We want to get 4 more yards on first down on a regular basis, 50 or better % of the time. That leads right into third down. So it's basically we want to be good on first down, second down, and third down. There you go. Is that coach speaking up for you? And the next thing we want to really do is be able to run the football. That's one thing that I think we're really deep at. We've got 3 really athletic quarterbacks. We've got 4 athletic running backs that we believe that we can really attack people running the football. And on top of that, we got a very, very veteran and deep offensive line. Coach Eric is going to have a tough time figuring out who's traveling on that bus 22 days. Okay, because we got a really good veteran group. And then on the edge, Coach Tupou really talks about our receivers being physical players. We run enough screen game that they've got to be able to have a little swagger out there. As Josh mentioned, you got to have that swag and you got to be physical. And that we look at running the football as a team effort, okay, or an offensive effort. Okay, so that's a big thing for us. Those are the 2 main things that we're looking for. I know Coach Roble here comes into my office and always got new trick plays for me. So we'll have a few of those up our sleeve, but we want to be able to run the football, be good on third down. I know that it's not changing offensive philosophy. I'm not up there with Chip Kelly, but that's really how you win football games. Stay on the field, be able to control that football and stick it in the end zone. I believe that we've got a lot of veteran guys on offense. As a coach, I'm blessed to have so many good athletes and good quarterbacks. We got a guy that brought us Attorney started 11 straight games, right? Okay, 11 straight games. Kyle Levan put us in a position to win football games last year. And we had a tough start, but give our guys credit. They kept fighting. I think at receiver, Zach Barber, Taylor Houchin, he was hurt all spring. It was good to see you out there running around. He even dove for a ball today, and I held my breath a little bit, but it was good to see that you popped right back up. And then Connor Doherty, Connor, it's no secret he's pretty good, okay? But he'll be the first one to tell you that he's looking to get better and to improve on his season. And then up front, it's nice to be able to look out and see the same butts every year. We got a few of them right up here with Murph and Roble and Austin Nath, which I don't even really recognize without that Abe Lincoln beard that you had going there, okay? And then Mitch, okay? There you are. You're hard to miss, man. I can't believe I missed you back there. But, we've got a lot of veteran guys. And then, Jake, and we've got guys that have started multiple times up front at different times going to compete for that right guard position. I think that's really huge. And we've got a lot of good competition there. So any questions?
You mentioned you got 3 athletic guys.
Mm-hmm.
You went with a couple different guys last year. Do you have something nailed down, or?
Well, if we started today, our returning starter would be the starting quarterback.
Okay.
But I will tell you this: those 3 guys keep me on my toes in the meeting room, and in the spring, and today. They're going to compete. Kyle knows it. Christian knows it. Jake knows it. It's a competition every single day. So you got to win it. And you got to stay on top. Now, I will tell you this: it's nice to have those guys there to be able to do some different things. And the staff and I have really tried to work on a few of those things.
You guys, I'm with the American News, by the way.
Sure.
Not just some random guy.
I'll answer your questions. You're a random guy or with the American News. That's all right.
No Anderson this year. Is there a competition for the number 1 wide receiver? Or are you pretty
Well, you never know. You know, we have guys that have played and scored touchdowns for us. I think Zach's our number one receiver, so we got him. Okay, and then we got Houch, he's our number one at another position. And then right now on the depth chart is Culbreath in here. Okay, so I mean, there's plenty of guys that are going to compete for that. Raekwon Robinson, he's had a great spring. You know, he's going to compete for those things. So, you know, we want the guys that are here, and I think we've got some big time playmakers that scare a lot of people. So I think we've got a really good receiving core. And then you can make an argument that the guy in 85 sitting behind you, he's a pretty good receiver too. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. What else? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Before I introduce our defensive coordinator, I want to make sure I introduce the rest of our staff that's in here. We've got some guys in and out with doing stuff, getting ready for next practice, working on film. Third year here, offensive line coach Ben Arrett. Third year, actually, fifth year total, right? Coach Matt Rakowski was a graduate assistant 2 years. Hired him on full time when Craig Paulson left in January. Secondary coach Matt Rakowski. And then wide receiver coach, 12th year, Coach Tupou. Coaches about every position and really just an invaluable guy. Really a rock in our program, in our athletic department, Maya Tupou. And some of the graduate assistants were here, but I don't know, did they sneak off? They're gone, they're working? All right, so anyway, got a great staff. We R.C. Kilgore back in his second year. Adam Kiefer is in his sixth year. I think, I don't know if he's in the hospital or not after this morning's practice. He had an altercation with one of his own players, right, Petey? So I think he's going to be okay. And Pat Sweeney is our graduate assistant coach in our cornerbacks. And then Kurt Holinka, who was with us earlier, 2011 and 12, has rejoined us and is coaching our running backs. Kurt is not here either. So got a great staff, got 10 guys. We joked, Josh talked 2 years ago, we were 8-3. We had our best season we've had in, I think, about 20 years, one loss, almost 20 years. But we honestly didn't play as good well on defense as I wanted to. And so I fired the D coordinator, which was me, and hired the guy who I thought would be better for our program. And he's in his second year as our defensive coordinator, our fifth year together in our program. Our defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, Matt MacLagan. Coach MacLagan.
Hey guys, I got pretty lucky. Usually when we do this, I think it's practice 2, and I usually can't talk at all. So I'm glad this all timed up so I'd be able to get up here. Kind of the way that Coach Martin started it out, looking at, hey, what do we need to do to get better as a defense? We got a lot of performance goals, and our guys are aware of those. And but for me, it's more about keeping the things in perspective that these guys can control that will affect those things. And we had our defensive meeting yesterday and had a lot of stuff. Got to create a mindset for our guys. I'm big on that. But let's keep it in perspective. And what are some things that we could control, just like Coach Martin had his 3. On the defensive side, we have 3 things that we talk about, we're trying to do every day, and we're going to be consistent with that language. And the first one is executing our defense. We got the X's and O's for our guys, and we're going to put stuff on film, but these are the guys that have to go do those things. And every coach is going to say this, and we want it as well. We want our guys to be playing consistent football. Now, that's on them, but that's just as much on the staff. For our guys, it's taking 1 rep at a time, and we talked to them about that a lot. But for the staff, it's about teaching. We got to teach our guys so they know what they're doing. That's very important to myself and the rest of our defensive staff. And then getting these guys in position, because we trust on game day they're going to go take care of those things. And that's going to be the way that we're going to try to be more consistent as we play on the defensive side. We talked about an identity on our side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball. And that goes into the next thing I'm going to talk about is pursuing to the football. I feel like we got some fast personnel. We're going to take advantage of that. We're going to understand that as an identity, and we want to get a lot of guys around the football. That's a big part of what we do. And talking with Coach and the rest of the staff, we practice tackling a lot. That would be our third one. We do a lot of stuff with tackling because at the end of the day, you got to get that guy down, whether the ball's out in space, ball in the box, quarterback in a drop. We want to be able to get guys around that football and get it tackled, and probably didn't do that consistent enough last year. Had some real good games, had some real bad games. You take the last game of the year, for instance, a lot of explosive plays against us that we weren't able to make. That resulted in some big plays for our opponent, and that was a direct result of tackling. So execution, pursuing, and tackling, those are going to be the three big things that we're looking at. In talking about tackling, preventing yardage, right, not letting an offense advance, we had some success in the red zone last year. We did some good things, double-edged sword a little bit, because we're also letting teams down there. So some of the other things, Coach Martin talked about third down on his side of the ball. We need to be better on third down. You look at some of the breakdowns that we had last year, some third down situations we were pretty good, some we weren't real good, and that makes you average, and that's not what you're looking for. The bend, don't break idea defense, it's going to win you a series. It's not going to win you a ton of games. Our guys are going to fight, and whatever we get handed to us, our guys are going to go out, and we trust that they're going to go work their butt off, but can we do it a little earlier in the series? Those are some things that we're looking at continuing to improve. Talking about our guys going out, working hard, and fighting. We got good players, guys that I'm excited about, and the rest of our defensive staff are really excited about on the defensive side of the ball. They've been with us for a long time, played a lot of football for us. But you talk about work ethic, like Coach mentioned, Chad Stoddard on the defensive line, along with some other seniors. He's really been a guy that's defined work ethic on our side of the ball. And I think that carries a lot of weight because it affects other teammates and what we're trying to get done. A couple other guys at inside linebacker, it's one thing to be good at what you do. It's another thing to affect the guys around you. And two, probably the more inspiring guys, myself included, inspiring guys on our football team, two seniors, Trevor Hayline and Trevor Heining. I should have said Hayline and Heining. Trevor Heining and Brendan Hayline, the hometown hero. Two guys that are out there, they're great teammates, and they're getting our guys jacked up and getting our guys excited about playing football. Our outside linebacker position, we do a lot at that position. It's versatile. It's fun. We can do a lot of things out there. And the Zemlicka brothers, Tyson and Taylor, have really come into their own at that spot. They're noticeable on game day. You guys will see that. We talk about competing on our side of the ball. I think the number one example of competing on our side of the football is Channing Barber. Gets put in a lot of one-on-one situations, and he loves it. So when guys watch him on film, they go, hey, man, I can go do that. I can go beat my guy because Channing's doing it all day. He's done a great job down the stretch here. And then it's super appropriate that Logan Dosch is here because your two proteges are the ones I'm going to be talking about next with Joe and Matt in the back row, Parsley and Thorson. And as a defensive coordinator and our defensive coaches, when you got two guys on the field that can be other coaches, they're the ones that got to play. That's a pretty cool thing, and those guys have really done a good job of taking care of our guys while we're on the field. But we got a lot of returners on our side of the ball, and we're just excited to be back in camp, excited to get back to work. It's going to be an awesome camp, and we're excited about the year. So I would open it up to questions if you guys have any.
Yeah. Noah Devin Olson, lead tackler from last year.
Yep.
How do you replace him?
I guess it goes back to those two guys I just talked about, and behind them, with Trevor and Brendo, behind them we got some young guys that kind of bring another element that we haven't had a lot of, and that's a physical presence, and that's nothing against them, but just in terms of some physical attributes, and they're learning behind two really good guys. And you talk about Devin, they learned behind him, and we've been able to do that with our system and guys setting the example for the guys behind them, so when we do lose those seniors, the idea is not to skip a beat. And like I said, those two guys are great leaders, and the guys behind them, we hope are gonna follow suit.
You mentioned you don't really want to do bend but don't break. How aggressive will you be on defense in terms of sending extra guys on?
Yeah, you know what? When I was sitting back there, I thought you were gonna ask me that, so I was ready. This is really the way I view that, and we're gonna run our defenses, and we're gonna run our 4-mans and our 5-mans and our 6-mans, whatever the case is. Volume here, volume there. The biggest thing about what we do as a defense is whatever defense we're in, it's about our guys knowing what they're doing and playing fast. And part of playing fast is, again, knowing what you're doing, understanding your teammate's going to be doing his job. So whether it's an aggressive defense or what some might think of as a passive defense, it's got to look the same. Because when you know where the ball is going, we're going to get guys there. That's the hope. Yeah, we're going to change stuff up as we have always done. But it's about our guys playing fast versus the defenses that we're running. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Before we wrap it up, two things. One, I want to talk about our special teams. And really, I think recognized guy on our team last year was Adrian Krupka. He was our punter for 4 years, and he was also our place kicker last year. He was doing our kickoffs and did some PAT field goal stuff. Nathan Shaw, who had kicked for us the previous 2 years, was injured, came back for a couple games, and really was re-injured, and ended up taking a medical red shirt, which was great. And Adrian did everything. And there are several times in games where a guy like Adrian comes in and booms a punt at a critical time in the game, and they fair catch it, or he kicks it out of bounds. A 48, 50-yard punt goes out of bounds. And sometimes you don't really notice that as a fan, or even sometimes as a coach, but certainly probably doesn't get recognized as a huge play in the game, right? Because it wasn't a turnover and it wasn't a scoring play, but all of a sudden the field gets flipped, and now our defense goes and gets a 3-and-out, and we get the ball on a shorter field for our offense. So Adrian's really going to be missed with what he did, the way he turned the field all year in his kickoffs and his punts, and then really filling in when Nathan was hurt as our field goal and PAT guy. So we'll miss him. He's a Canadian, born in Canada, moved to Florida, and then he went to college in South Dakota. So he didn't get rattled too easily. That's probably a good way to put that. But we do have Nathan Shaw back, so we're excited to have that. Another position that doesn't get recognized unless something bad happens, Logan Dosch is long snapper, right? So, and we've got both of ours guys, Dalton Wangren and Austin Knapp, both guys who have been long and short snappers back. And then our return game, Zachary and Channing Barber have been good return guys for us. Joe Parsley, punt returner, and sponsored by Northwest Mutual Life. And Stephen Erlinson's been a kick returner for us as well. So, good solid group. And really, when you looked at us statistically, you can take stats and do whatever you want with them. Statistically, something we looked at as a coaching staff this summer is where we were at. And what we did in the kicking game, we were in the top 4 or 5 teams in the league in some of the major kicking categories. And whether it was punt coverage, we blocked, I think, 5 punts. Our punt net was good. Our kickoff coverage team was very good. Craig Paulson did a great job there. So we've got the bar set pretty high. We've got some guys back in those spots, and we've got some competition there. And really, I think that's something that's really important within our team. And Matt MacLagan mentioned it. And really something I like about our staff, to be honest with you, is our guys have we've got good continuity where we've got some guys, Mark and Maya and myself, some guys that have worked together for a number of years. We've got guys like Mac who've been here for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, and Coach Arrett and Coach Rakowski. But we're also bringing in new ideas, and I think you got to do that. And that's one thing that's good about stuff. You talk about what are we going to do? What's our identity going to be on defense? We played St. Cloud State last year, and the offense coordinator there is Chris Mussman, a guy I coached with at the University of North Dakota, and we'd been a big pressure team before in the past, and we really scaled back on some of that last year because we wanted to be better at what we did. And Coach Mussman said to me, "So when you hired MacLagan, you threw away the blitz and pressure package, huh?" And I said, "Well, I didn't throw it away. We don't think we need to run that." So, I think that's been a good part about our staff. We're always trying to find new ways to do stuff, and so. That's kind of offense, defense, special teams. We do have 2 of our guys that are going to come up here and visit with you real briefly, and then we'll wrap things up. The 2 guys I got, you guys can walk up here now, are free safety, Joe Parsley from Flanders, South Dakota. Joe is going to, you can tell what your major is going to be, Joe. You can talk about that. Joe is in his 5th year in our program. And then tight end Connor Doherty, also in his 5th year in our program. Joe, why don't you go ahead and talk first?
How we doing?
For Joe.
You guys can talk. You guys have heard the coaches talk about schemes and, players. Obviously, we have a good team. You guys can look at stats and all that stuff, All-Americans, all-conference guys. What I really want to talk about is, what personally for me makes Northern special and why this team is going to have a great year this year. The first thing I noticed when I came to Northern was just the community support. And as I've grown up in Aberdeen, I've worked for a couple different businesses, and it's kind of interesting because I wonder how their businesses are so successful when all they want to do is talk about Northern athletics all the time. And I think there's one guy in this room, I won't name any names, so I think you guys know who I'm talking about. Another one would be definitely the staff and the coaches that we have. I mean, best in the country, in my opinion. They're always there for us. I mean, I'll talk to you guys later if you want. Personally, I have a personal story of when I was a freshman and really goofed up big time, and I mean, it's happened to everyone. And the coaches are always there. They always got your back. They're not looking to throw anyone out or throw anyone under the bus or, drag you through the mud when you've already been through a tough experience. And the last thing really that I want to talk about is the guys in this room. It's not very often that you get 24 guys to stick around in a senior class. And I think everyone in here just has a fire and a passion for the game. Day one since freshman lifts, every single time we're up there working hard. And maybe if one guy doesn't have the right attitude that day or feeling a little tired, someone's going to pick him up. We all know that. And I guess one last thing I do want to talk about. This last summer, I had the opportunity to hear a guy named Inky Johnson speak. And I won't spoil his story. I think you guys should all go look it up. But one thing he talked about is the process throughout the day, getting up and just doing the next thing 100%. And I really think, I heard him speak and I said, hey, man, you're behind the curve. We're already doing that. That's our program. So that's why I think we're going to be, great this year. So, do you have any questions for me? No? You sure? Back over there, of course.
Are you concerned about filling Blaine's shoes this year?
I've learned from the best as far as, with Blaine. He's a great returner. I don't think he ever turned the ball over. I don't know, I guess, but should have noticed.
You can no comment those questions.
No, he feeds off this kind of stuff, but no, I mean, I have the confidence in myself and confidence in every single guy in this room. So, any other questions? All right.
As Coach Dosch said, I'm Connor Doherty, senior from Brookings, South Dakota. I play tight end. I'm going to kind of cover what we did this summer in preparation for this season. I want to give a shout out to Coach Fritz and his staff. They did a wonderful job with us. Awesome guys to work with. But we started off May 31st. We went 5 straight weeks up into the 4th of July week, and then we took a week off, or a light week. There's no weeks off. Then we kind of went, after that came back and went 3 more weeks till July 29th, I believe. We had another light week leading up to this week. Kind of breaking that down. Monday, Wednesday, Friday were our lifting days. Monday was kind of a lower body emphasis. Wednesday was upper body, and Friday was more of a total body emphasis. And then for our running and stuff like that, Monday we did some straight line speed. Tuesday we did a little recovery work with some tempo runs. Big guys run 60 yards, mids run 80 yards, and the skill guys run 100 yards. And then on Thursday we had some agility work. And then as well as to go with all that, we did our own extra 7-on-7s and team on air stuff on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. We had about 40 to 50 guys, or 50 to 60, excuse me, at about every workout. Tremendous numbers. That goes to show our leadership on this team, the guys that we have. Coach Fritz was making it fun all summer, doing some competition stuff during our running, whether it was individual competing or kind of groups competing against each other. But that kind of leads up to where we're at right now, and we're excited and ready to go. So, any questions?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Is it a team thing, the mustaches?
Yeah, that's a that's a fall camp tradition. We can't have any facial hair besides a trim mustache, so we like to rock the stash. Anything else? Good.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, so, I guess wrapping up here, I'll take any questions. I think you look at number of guys that played and started and all that for us last year. We've got a decent number on both sides of the ball. I think one thing that we have emphasized and done a good job of is, again, creating competition within our team. I really think you have to do that. And this even goes back to in our winter workouts, when we have 8 of these guys, we pick teams every January, and we have competitions in January and February. And Coach Fritz has really spiced it up this year. We added community service as additional points, and we had guys going to the Boys and Girls Club and guys going and doing. I think the Boys and Girls Club guy called me one time and said, we got to run out of stuff for these guys to do down here. So, but I like it because guys are competing. They're trying to win. And that's something we really emphasize in our program. And again, I think everybody's going to tell you that. We've got that built in, and you want your younger players to learn from that. If you come to one of our practices starting Saturday, there's a decent chance you're going to see Connor and one of the Zemlicka brothers getting after each other a little bit towards the end of a play. That might happen. And I think some of the guys think, well, you guys must hate Connor, huh? And no, they don't. They want to compete with him. And Connor wants to compete with them. And I think you can say the same thing with Tyler Roble and Tanner Lopez and Zachary and Channing Barber, and the list goes on and on of guys. That's what you want. Now, when Channing threw Zachary up against the fence last year on a Thursday before a game, was it that way, or did you throw Channing up? Okay. That maybe takes the brotherly stuff a little too far, and now it's affected my livelihood, but by the grace of God, that happened. Channing was mad at him, something happened, he gave him a shove, and he's like, your heart stops, he's going right towards his fence, and then somehow Coach Tupou had put a bag, like a dummy, right where he was going by luck, so he ran into the dummy instead of into the pole. So, but aside from an occasional thing like that, doing something stupid like that on a Thursday, it's good, and I think that's what you got to have. So, I tell the guys, just because you got guys that have started and played a lot here, that doesn't guarantee you anything, and you got to come and compete every day. I fired myself 2 years ago. If I fire myself, I'll fire you. I don't have that big an ego. So, well, that's what we want to get. We want to get our young guys pushing our old guys pushing our older guys, and you hope good things will happen as a result of that. So. That's what we're looking for, and again, that competition is really stressed year-round in our program, and it starts with Dylan, goes with the rest of our coaches, and really with these guys as players. So, questions that anybody has before we wrap things up, football-wise, or anything else that needs to be addressed? Yep. Good question. How do we do team captains? The way we do it is, and I probably do it different than a lot of places. This year is probably more than any, but the way we do captains is we rotate that amongst our seniors and some of our upperclassmen junior guys throughout the course of the year. And then at the end of the year, we select captains at the conclusion of the season. So we really rotate that. So, we're going to have 20-some captains. And I tell the seniors, if we don't have good leadership out of you, then we will pick captains. And I've done that before, but I've really emphasized to our guys that, hey, we want to have good leadership. Because I've been on I've coached at a couple places where we did have captains, and maybe when something goes wrong within the program, guys say, well, I don't want to step in. I'm not a captain. It's not really my place to do that. I've seen it happen, and it was with good teams I coached, and it was kind of sad to see that good players didn't want to jump in and take leadership roles because they said, well, I'm not a captain. And ever since I saw that, I said, I'd like to do it this other way. But, again, if we have issues where we don't have the leadership that I want, then I'm going to say, all right, we're going to pick captains at the third week, the fifth week, whenever, and those will be our guys the rest of the year. I don't foresee that happening, to be honest with you, with this group of guys. But it goes down to ownership, Kyler, and I think that's important. So that's how I do it. And it's not necessarily seniors. If you look at our captains board downstairs, each of the last 2 years last year we had 3 guys who were juniors who were captains on last year's team, and the year before we had a junior as well, so Devin Olson. So it doesn't necessarily have to be seniors. We certainly expect that out of those guys, but it doesn't have to be them. So that's the way I've done it, and that's the way I'll continue to do it moving forward. Good question. Ben.
For special teams, I know last year Krupa kind of got forced into the all-time kicking. Is Shaw kind of starting out that way, or do you plan on splitting with Weedrick?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really, Ben, since the first time since I've been here, we've really got good competition at both spots, particularly punter. I think right now Nathan's our kickoff PAT field goal guy, and but at the punting position, we have Jacob Wiedrich, who punted a little bit for, or kicked a little bit for us last year, and then Nathan Shaw, who Nathan has punted as a true freshman. Nathan got thrown into action up at Minot in 2013 and got to punt. You had a 6-yarder with the wind and about an 80-yarder into the wind. So I didn't know exactly how that went down. So we just started punting only into the wind after that. No, but so Nathan's done it before. But yeah, that's a good question. So we're taking a serious look at with our charting and how we're doing stuff in practice to get those guys in those environments. So we will have competition, and we will have kicker too. But Nathan's our guy right now at PAT field goals and kickoffs. But Jacob will push him, but punting is certainly up for grabs. And we'll compete, and we'll see as fall camp goes who our guy will be. Good question. Anything else before we get out of here? Again, thanks for everything. We have 2 weeks from today, the 25th of August is our annual, it'll be our year-end, our end of fall camp scrimmage. That'll be at 6:30 at Swisher Field. Public's invited. You're invited to come to any of our practices, but that'll be our last scrimmage before we get into game week. So kind of just a preview for the public. If anybody wants to be there, that's generally the last thing we do before we get into game week. But we have a lot of stuff to do before then, and like Joe mentioned, we're big into the process here about what do we got to take care of next. And I think one reason we had some success last year is our guys really did a good job of that when things maybe weren't going the way you want them to. Is we just started really focusing on what do we got to do this week to get better. And so I think we've learned from that. And people talk a lot about last year, and it is what it is. If you're as good as your last game, then we've got a little sour taste in our mouth from how the season ended last year. But I'm not a guy that's going to sit there and hold that over the guys' heads. We're not going to dwell on something real negative or real positive, to be honest with you. We're going to move forward, but that's enough to I think, motivate our guys to play good, consistent football. And we want to do that for 11 weeks and starting in week 1. And that's something we haven't done here yet in my 6 years. And that's something that's our plan going in, starting we're getting ready for week 1 in a few weeks. So consistency and competition, that's what we're shooting for, and that's what we're hoping we get. Any other questions? Anything else? We've got to get these guys to eat. If you do have any questions for any individual guys, you guys stick around for a minute or two. Any of our coaches will be here as well. Josh or Ashley, anything else? Zach, anything? We're all good to go. TJ, anything? We're good? Okay. Okay, well, again, we'll be around. Thanks for coming. Appreciate everybody being here, and go Wolves.